I'm Scott Hansen. I'm a professor at Southern Utah University, and this module of SolidWorks will contain instruction on how to create one of 5 parts that will be used in assembly. If we move our cursor to the little white piece of paper, left click one time, the new SolidWorks document dialog box will appear. We'll left click on Part, left click on OK. We'll move our cursor to the upper left portion of the screen and left click on the Sketch tab. And we'll left click on Sketch. The default work planes will appear. We'll move our cursor to the front plane. When it becomes highlighted, we left click once. Then we'll right click. Pop-up menu will appear. We'll left click on Display Grid. Then we're going to create a 2-inch circle, and we're going to extrude that circle a distance of 2 inches. So we'll left click on the circle icon. We'll move our cursor down to the origin. We'll left click on the origin. That'll be the center of our circle. And we'll drag this circle out to somewhere around 2 inches. We'll left click, then we'll right click, left click on Select, and then we'll left click on Smart Dimension. We'll left click on the edge of the circle. Then we'll enter a 2. Then we'll hit the green check mark. And we'll scroll this up a little bit. We'll right click, left click on Exit Sketch. We'll have to change our tools, so we hit the Features tab. We'll left click on Extrude, and we enter a 2 for the extrusion distance. Left click on OK. Then I'll left click out here on the workspace to hide that sketch. Use the wheel to scroll out, and we'll push the mouse wheel down and rotate it. We should have just a slug 2 by 2. Then we're going to create a sketch on the inside of this piston and put a hole on it. So I'm going to move my cursor over here to the part tree and move it up and down these planes that are listed. And we're looking for a plane that is right in the middle of this part, which in this case is going to be the right plane. So I'll right click, I'm going to left click on Sketch, and we now have a sketch in the middle of this part, if you see by rotating the part around. Then we'll need to change the appearance to wireframe so that we have access inside the piston. We move our cursor over here to the display style icon. There's a little arrow next to that. You drop that down, and we left click on wireframe, and now we have a representation of our piston, which is actually 2 ellipses connected at the quadrants. We'll left click on, let's see, first we need to convert this geometry, so we'll go over here to Convert Entities, left click once, and this line here that makes up the side of the piston basically is on that plane already, but it's not projected on there. It's easier just to project the top and bottom lines. So I'm going to left click on this line, or ellipse rather, and then I'm going to left click on the green check mark, and it will project a solid line, an edge line, onto our plane. And there we go. Now if we push our mouse wheel down, we can see how SolidWorks has projected those onto the plane. We're eventually going to be erasing those. So now we'll left click on the line command, and we're going to move our cursor so that it is right in the middle. Once that midpoint indicator comes up, we'll left click one time. We'll move our cursor to the other midpoint, left click, and then we'll right click, select. Now we're going to put a circle right at the midpoint of this line. So we'll move our cursor to the circle, move our cursor to the line that we just created. Once that midpoint comes up, we left click once, and we drag a circle out, left click, right click, select. Then I'm going to left click on the Smart Dimension, and we'll dimension this to a diameter of 1/2 inch, 0.5. Then we'll hit the green check mark. Now we need to delete these lines that we used to create this circle, so I'm going to move my cursor over that line when it becomes highlighted. I'm going to left click on delete. Now we have to ensure that we don't move the circle now, because the lines that have been used to locate it are going to be removed. We'll right click, delete, right click, delete. Then we'll left click, exit sketch. We're going to do an extruded cut, and we're going to do 2 directional. We want 2 inches in both directions, and we should be able to left click on the green check mark, and we should have a hole that protrudes through this piston. Now to check our work, we're going to go up here to the display style icon. There's a little arrow next to it. We'll drop that down, go back to solid with edges, left click one time to turn off that sketch, and we do indeed have a hole that is protruded completely through our solid part. Now we'll use the shell command. We will shell the inside of this. We'll left click on shell. We move our cursor over this edge here. We'll just go with the default thickness of 0.1, and we'll left click on the green check mark. And then we'll push the mouse wheel down, and you'll see where we have created a wrist pin hole for our piston, and now we're going to cut out a section of that hole. We'll move the cursor to the bottom edge of the piston. When both edges become highlighted, we'll right click once, and we'll left click on sketch. Then we'll use the rectangle command, and we'll drag a rectangle like that, and we'll right click, select, and then we'll dimension that rectangle. You move your cursor to the smart dimension command, left click once, we'll left click on the line, and I was hoping to left click on that origin, and doesn't seem to be doing it. Let me look at it here perpendicular, and we'll left click on the green check mark. We may need to draw a line coming out of the center of the origin. Oh, let's see, it looks like we might do it now. I'm going to delete that line. We'll go back. Okay, so you'll need a perpendicular view of it to dimension to the origin. So after you select smart dimension, left click on the origin, left click on the line, drag it out, and we'll enter 0.375, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. It's not going to do it. We'll come into the smart dimension command again. Okay, you may have to select that origin a time or two, 0.375, and then we'll dimension these to 0.5. I've sometimes drawn a line coming out of the origin just for that reason, and then just went ahead and deleted that line. Okay, and I've got an extra dimension in here is why it's giving us that, so we need to get rid of that, and we should be able to dimension to here. So we should have a line that is 0.5 in the vertical direction and 0.38 side to side in the horizontal direction. Then I'm going to left click on the green check mark. I'm going to right click. I'm going to left click on exit sketch. I'm going to push the mouse wheel down just a little bit so that I can see the extruded cut. We'll left click on extruded cut. We'll enter 1.875 because we don't want the cut to go clear out the top of the piston. We'll left click on the green check mark, and then we'll left click one more time, and we should have a finished piston with a wrist pin hole similar to what is shown. And this concludes this module on the creation of this piston, which is one of 5 parts that will be used to create an assembly. This part will need to be saved.